The Democrats are wasting way too much time attacking Trump. Yes, I said it, and let's talk about it. Hey there, folks. This is Javier here. I'm coming to you live. It is currently 9:48 at night Eastern Standard Time. I hashtagged in this video somebody I deeply admire, actually, Mr. David Pakman. Mr. David Pakman, who I've been watching his podcast for years. Even throughout a time I disagreed with him, and times that, lately, obviously in the past couple of years, where I have agreed with him strongly. First of all, Mr. Pakman, if by any chance you're watching this video, I deeply, deeply, deeply respect and admire what you do. And I'm deeply, deeply inspired by what you do. In fact, I'm trying to follow in your footsteps in some way. So, man, I know you are not a Christian or religious, but I'm just going to say this outright. God bless you. You're an awesome guy. Thank you for what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. This being said, I do have a rebuke for you. And we do need to talk about this. This is kind of like between me. This is kind of like from me to you, speaking directly to you, but not just directly to you, but to many on the left in general. And obviously, as you know, I'm on the left too. I'm very much on the left. I voted for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. My political views have evolved very left-leaning as of recent years. So here's my rebuke. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, the left is spending way too much time attacking Donald Trump. And this also goes out to you. We need to be focusing on the far bigger battle. The far bigger battle is much more concerning to me, which I will get to in a few minutes, which I will get to a little bit later in this video. I was taking a look at your channel, and I've been taking a look at your channel lately. And it looks to me like most of your videos, as of lately, have been focused, and going on for a long time now, have been focused on attacking Donald Trump personally. And I know you discuss other things, but I'm taking a look at your channel real quick, and it's just Trump this, Trump, 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 you see my point. And in my honest opinion, this is a big mistake that the left is making. Wasting so much of our time on energy on Trump personally, when there's a much bigger monster out there than Donald Trump. Yes, we understand that Trump is the one that is the figurehead of this whole thing right now. He is the guy that was elected. He was he is the founder of the Make America Great Again movement, of the MAGA movement. He is what ultimately started this whole political era that we're in right now. However, as of today, he himself personally is not what's fueling it. So not just for Mr. Pakman, but for so many on the left that I see, are focusing all their time and energy and so on, attacking Donald Trump. And that's not what we need to be doing, in my humble opinion. Instead of focusing all our energy on Trump, we need to recognize that Trump is going to leave one way or another. Like, within 3 years, he's going to be out. All right. He is already over 80 years old. He's going to be out of office within 3 years. The reality of the matter is his health is not that good. And the reality of the matter even further is that he's doing a lot to piss off his own mega base, if you will. He's been doing a lot to he's been kind of, in a way, like betraying his own mega base in a lot of ways. And honestly, for that's beneficial to us. That's beneficial to our side when he does that, because that is turning people off from that base. But at the same time, we need to recognize, and I know you recognize this, like, for example, Mr. Pakman, I know that you recognize this. We all need to recognize that the much bigger monster is, for example, the Turning Point USA movement that's opening thousands and thousands of chapters within public school systems and colleges and all that, brainwashing the younger generation and the youth of America into believing that, LGBT or trans or woke or immigrants, etc., are to blame for their woes. Right now, we live in a generation that is, unfortunately, full of particularly Gen Z young men that are moving more and more far right. And the reason they're moving far right is not a fault of their own. It's because of all the brainwashing in the era they grew up in the social media era they grew up in, with all the right-wing podcasters and influencers that have been just kind of pushing and pushing and pushing all these narratives that, young men today have been watching constantly, like on the thousands, like, or on the millions, etc., etc., etc. Like, unfortunately today, it's hard for me to believe that the majority of young men in this country don't know who Tucker Carlson is, don't know who Joe Rogan is, don't know who, Jordan Peterson is, don't know who, obviously everybody now knows who Turning Point USA was, or who Charlie Kirk was, etc., etc. And these are the people that are like working actively. We're talking younger people. We're not talking about old Donald Trump. We're talking about younger conservatives actively working to brainwash the next generation. And, and I heard you talk about this on your show, Mr. Pakman, that this is the ground game that they're working on. This is their ground game. This is what they're fighting for. They're fighting for the minds and hearts of the next generation, of Gen Z, of Gen Alpha, particularly young men. And this is something that we need to continue to pound and pound and pound on, and continue to work up to figure out how we're going to combat this assault on the minds of our young men, if you will, by the likes of, say, Joe Rogan or Tucker Carlson or Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate or people like that, all of which I've heard you talk about, Mr. Pakman. I've heard you talk about it. And brother, I admire you. I respect your show, but we need to get off Trump. Trump is at this point more or less a distraction. We need to get off Trump. And this goes for everybody, the majority of people and forces on the left. At this point, Trump is more or less a distraction. Young men aren't following Trump personally. Young men are critical of Trump because he didn't release the Epstein files, or because of this or that, or because he's betrayed MAGA base or whatever. Young men are following these hard right podcasters that are gaining so much traction, of which Charlie Kirk was at point one. Young men are following Turning Point USA, which is becoming like an army of, like an organized army that is forcing their way into seizing the nation back, forcing their way into, quote unquote, taking back the culture by targeting our young people, which unfortunately the left and Democrats have very little organization against. And right now all they're doing is just throwing sticks and stones at them while they're advancing forward. And it's going to be very scary, because at the end of the day, we do not want to have a Vance presidency or a Carlson presidency or any of that. We don't want any of these people to win. And we already know that. We need to build up a ground game of our own. And, I have to say, I'm very impressed. Mr. Micah Efren, I'm glad you added me. You're a supporter of the UnFUCK America Tour. I don't like to curse. That's just my morals. But the UnFU_K America Tour, where we are actually going out there and debating conservatives, like, kind of like in the Turning Point USA fashion, Charlie Kirk fashion, etc., except on our side. And we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to build those movements. We need to continue to build that ground game. We need to continue to get out there and have those debates, to win young people and young men back to our side. We need to continue to expose the lies of these podcasters such as Peterson and Carlson and, and Joe Rogan, etc., and Andrew Tate, whatever, and many others, Tim Pool, etc., etc. We need to continue to, unfortunately, even Nick Fuentes, we need to go into their territory. We need to watch them, and we need to continue to call out their lies, and we need to continue to speak out against their lies, all of them. And we need to continue to build a ground game of our own, have debates, etc. And we need to win back the minds and hearts of the younger generation and of the young male vote. And that's what we need to do to keep fighting. Wasting so much time and energy attacking Donald Trump is not going to get us anywhere. It's a losing battle for us because right now we're just turning Trump into a punching bag, and that's not going to bring us victory in 2028. That's not going to bring us to defeat, the TPUSA movement or the conservative movement, America First movement, right-wing MAGA movement, whatever. That's not going to get us to win back the hearts and minds of those who have been sadly brainwashed by all these active right-wing podcasts out there. And it's just something we need to continue to speak up against. And, we need to just drop the focus on Trump at this point. Trump is on his way out no matter what. He'll be out in 2028. He's old. He's not really doing well. As we know, he's probably suffering for some cognitive, issues. And he's actively on and off betraying his own base. So we need to stop focusing the attacks on him and start focusing on the much, much bigger ground game. And this is my rebuke to the left. And this is why we need to just do better. We need to do better. Thank you for watching. Take care. This is Javier here, tuning out.